Ciao ragazzi and welcome to the latest episode of the Fratelli di Rugby podcast. By this point, I've given up trying to count which episode we're in, so Ottavio can add that in at the start because I don't really know anymore. But this 13. Is a bit more of a special episode where, as the time of recording, well, actually in about 10 minutes, we will be exactly 48 hours from kickoff at the Rugby World Cup when New Zealand take on France in Paris, which is set to be. I know I can't wait for it, and I'm sure Ottavio and Mike are the same. Boys, hello, how are we?
Good, thank you, boys. How are we?
Ciao Marcello, tutto bene? Tutto bene.
Bene. And we are joined by, I think we can probably call him a friend of the podcast now. He's up there with Seb Negri.
The original.
Tim and those who are leading the way for us at the moment. And Dave Sisi. Dave, how are you? Coming to us live from the Italian camp.
Buonasera ragazzi. Yeah, all good. Doing very well, thanks. I mean, I should definitely be a friend of this podcast. Amount of retweets and the rest I'm giving you lads. So absolutely. No, but good to be back. Good to be talking with you guys again and shed some light into the camp.
Sure. We've come full circle. Dave was our first guest. We've come full circle.
I remember birds chirping, off season, everything was like a paradise, and now in the room of the hotel.
I think that's just like nostalgia on your side, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot. Maybe it was a little bit colder than this. But
I was just going to say, let's start off. Like, how are you? How are you feeling? How's everything in camp?
Yeah, doing very well. We've just arrived down into Saint Etienne, so for sort of shed some light for you guys on how sort of the World Cup camp works as such as you start at your base camp. So we've been in Bourgoin, I think it's pronounced. Really nice little town, which is where we will be based for the World Cup. And then you then travel to wherever you go and play the matches. So for this first match, we're down in Saint Etienne. We then obviously go to Nice, and then we've got the last two games over in Lyon. So we've just arrived down in Saint Etienne for this first Namibia game, just settling in. A little bit of logistics to sort of get yourself over and moving your stuff from A to B, obviously getting your training done, and then you sort of travel during the afternoon. Tomorrow is a bit more of an off-down day for us. So with the 3 days training done, we'll be all fresh, ready to go for the weekend. But yeah, been a good week, been a good training week as well. And the amount of pre-season, I mean, we've been in pre-season now for this World Cup, obviously including the pre-season games, sort of 12, 14 weeks, more or less. So we're ready to get going.
How's the reception been from the French fans for you boys as well? Has there been a lot of like excitement and around there? Can you start feeling it like through the camp?
Definitely. Look, it's sort of nice because I can compare it a little bit to obviously my experience to 2019. But you can tell that France is a rugby mad nation, and it's also a rugby mad nation that's, you know, where rugby's really on the up at the moment. You know, even our little cap presentation, we had sort of 700, or sort of 500 to 700 people come and view that, and all the kids doing the tunnels and stuff when you're getting off the bus, everyone's waving, tooting horns, all the rest of it. There's definitely that World Cup atmosphere, and you can tell that it's a country that appreciates its rugby, you know, and they're excited about it. Obviously, they're going to be coming out with the classic gags with us playing the French and having the French in our own group, not to go too well against them, but no, it's been good. It's been really good, really nice atmosphere, and it's a very cool country to come and play rugby in.
Dave, I always think, is it a bit like a school trip in a way? Because I always think that when I see all you boys all together as a big group, and you're all on coaches going from A to B and being a little schedule for everyone to kind of stick to and room in with mates as well in hotels, does it have a bit of like a school trip feel?
You know, it's not a mental comparison to be making. It's funny because, you know, you're not far off as far as us all literally living with each other for weeks on end, you know, being on a bus. You know, a few of us have got kit that doesn't fit us, so we look like school kids as well. So yeah, definitely a good little comparison. Obviously, you know, we're much bigger than school kids. We draw a bit more of a crowd when we rock up anywhere. Pecos has usually got a speaker playing some dirty EDM music or something. So probably a little bit more aggressive than a school trip, but yeah, not far off. There are definitely comparisons to be made.
Some Andrea Bocelli remix, techno remix, something like that, I think, right?
Oh, some of the worst. It's the worst. It's one of those where it's so bad that it's good, and we've now kind of embraced it. Yeah, to the extent where we were even considering putting some dirty EDM for our like sort of victory song at the end of one of the matches. You know, because I think every team can pick a song at the end of the match. But we thought that'd be far too much. But yeah, people could definitely hear us coming before we actually arrive. They hear us before they see us.
A classic Italian cliche. When the Italians are around, every time everything is loud. So great, awesome, proud of you guys.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Obviously, we've seen a lot of the Instagram posts, and you know, you guys were kind enough to jump on to our Instagram and do some bits as well. But it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you know, you guys were doing a lot of extras, and you guys look in incredible shape. Is that something that you personally are making sort of a concerted effort to try and do those extras and stuff? Because obviously it's a big World Cup, and you know, it's a big World Cup for a lot of the boys there. Is that something that is you personally taking upon yourself to try and sort of just do and make sure that, you know, you're going into this in the best absolute best position that you can be?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, World Cup is the peak of a rugby union player's career. You know, that's, you know, yes, you know, your Six Nations and getting your first cap and, you know, doing or whatever with your club, going on sort of Heineken Cup runs or whatever, Champions Cup runs, but World Cup is the peak. So when you're into those World Cup camps, initially you're competing for your place, and then once you've got your place, you're then competing to get selected, and then once you're getting selected, you're then competing against the rest of the world, you know, to try and turn some teams over. So it's, you know, from every individual, there's definitely, you've got to put the work in. You don't get to this level, you don't play without sticking the work in. We've definitely got our group of Instagram friendly guys. You know, there's probably a few extras for those little instas. And we, you know, I probably don't need to name names. But yeah, no, look, it's very important that we're all in top condition and that we're ready to go and fire shots. Because, you know, as I say, this is the most important tournament. And when you finally get the opportunity to, you know, show yourself on the world stage, you want to be ready to look good doing it.
And I guess also, Dave, it's about enjoying it, isn't it? I mean, it looks like you guys are having fun whilst you're there at the same time. And you said it's very important, this World Cup, but it's also an experience. It's, you know, it's something that, you know, you shouldn't take for granted, should you? So I imagine there's definitely the sort of emphasis, as well as it being important and wanting to do well and everything like that. There's also that element of need to enjoy yourself too. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I mean, it's a new, you know, when you're ever going to sort of return, you know, to a country or place, you know, getting this, you know, this amount of sort of attention representing your country, et cetera. So we're very lucky. We've got a really good group. You know, you guys see it. You know, we often speak about the chemistry that you see us guys playing on the field with. Off field, you know, we're a very close bunch as well. It's a young group that have lived some very tough times together, and we're now sort of all peaking together at the same time. So it's a great time to be a part of this group. And as you say, we've definitely just got to enjoy the experience. Yes, there's pressure, but you know, first and foremost, if you're enjoying yourself, then performances will come, because we're putting the work in at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's interesting what you're saying, Dave, because thinking about, for example, last game of the World Cup with Oshie in Japan against South Africa, BG Ferrari, you and Morisi were in the field, and then in general there were Zani, BG Ferrari, Riccioni, Ruzza, you, Negri, then Fischetti arrived, and only Alan and Morisi. So, for example, all the backs are such a young generation, because we lost a lot of players. In the second row with you, now we have the new Italian, no Dino. At that time, there was Dean Budd. So you saw how changed the group. So maybe what you're saying about this group, it's so important to like sottolinea, underline, no, because guy, you see how it changed Italy in these years. It's amazing how the guys, the young guys, are living the situation.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to highlight like the change. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's how often, I mean, how many other teams would have had that kind of turnover? And if they have had that kind of turnover, how many teams have had the turnover where it's like for like players of just such a young age? I mean, it's a crazy, sort of crazy rotation that Italy have gone through. But I mean, the timing of it, you've got to say it's a very exciting time to be playing for Italy. I mean, to answer your question, I mean, we've just got so many young, hungry guys. I don't see anyone daunted by the challenge at all. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's ready to get stuck in. And as I said to you, after 12 weeks, 14 weeks of preseason for a lot of us, we just want to go out and play now. We just want to get some games under the belt and really start enjoying what we're doing. But yeah, look, honestly, I think at this stage, age is actually, is actually an advantage for us because you've just got guys that are just mad enthusiastic and ready to go.
They embrace the challenge. That's great to hear from you. So let's go. I'm pumped, guys. I want to go play now.
For sure.
Me for Dave.
For sure. I'm ready to flip this iPad. I could launch it just across the room.
Put some umbrella in the sand on the beach.
That's it.
That cohesiveness, obviously, beyond the language, is like incredibly important, and obviously that comes from the new guys making an effort, but also you guys, also making an effort to meet them halfway. So, how impressed were you by those guys?
As I said, we're just lucky that we're blessed with such a good group. To be honest with you, like there's very little ego in Italian rugby, especially these days. There's very little. No one really stands out as far as when we're in this working environment trying to improve. There's no one that's trying to sort of run their own race, if that makes sense. Not that rugby as a sport particularly breeds those kind of people anyway. It's very difficult. But, guys are just eager to learn. I think they also understand where they are at the moment in the sort of course of Italian rugby, if you like, this new rotation that we're all going through. But they don't think about it for a minute. They just get on with the job and they enjoy doing it. So there isn't too much sort of, outside of sort of some general guidance and, getting stuck in with them, leading by example where you can. They're going to be right there with us, and we're going to be right there with them. So they just embrace the challenge, to be honest with you. That's actually quite a difficult question to answer because there's not an awful lot that needs doing with this group because this group are just hungry to improve and ready to go. So it's been really refreshing, actually. If you compare it to my club situation at the moment, the club situation, you've probably got to do a little bit more of that leadership and the rest of it. But when you step up to the international level, I think the guys understand at this level, certain standards and things need to be met, and therefore those conversations don't need to be had. And it's really enjoyable environment to get stuck into.
You spoke about your team, for example. Now it's preparing everything with the club. Zebra, they start the warm-up game. Are they asking you a lot about, hey, how's it going? Are they like interested into what is coming out, or they're completely focused on that on their duty now? Like there's some interesting into Italy camp. They want to know how it's going. Also the young guys that being left out from selection.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, we're always exchanging messages, and even the socials and stuff. Guys are always sort of replying to the pictures and things that we put up, asking how we're going and all the rest of it. And look, it's generally very positive. It's tough. 33 players go to the World Cup, so it's only natural that guys get cut, and that's tough on the individual. So we get around those individuals as best we can. but then also from the outside looking in, they only want us to do well. So when they see one of our boys, getting selected, has a good game, etc., then those guys are straight on the phone asking how we're getting on and stuff. So it's, Italian rugby is a small world. Ottavio, it's small. It's we've got two franchises, in the top flight. We've got 33 players here at a World Cup. We all know each other inside out. Do you know what I mean? And whether you're inside one squad at one time and inside another squad at the other time, you don't lose those sort of connections and friendships, because it is just such a small world. So yes, absolutely, we're all keeping in touch. I mean, I saw, obviously, just to touch on the club, obviously saw Licata back from injury, captaining the club for the first pre-season game. So sent him a message straight away. Like, great to see him back. He's, one that potentially be in a blue shirt in the next few months and years to come. He'd come back from a long-term injury. So absolutely, we keep in touch. And all good boys in this sort of world environment that we operate in.
It's good to hear, Dave. And I guess moving it back towards sort of the camp and the World Cup, which is obviously so close now, are there any nerves settling in now? Because obviously you've kind of been in this pre-season for quite a while, and I guess it's all been building up to this game against Namibia, but at the same time, it being still quite a way away. Has Saturday creeped up on you at all? Has it creeped up on the squad, or do you all feel like you're ready to go now?
I can only speak personally as far as sort of the nerves and stuff are concerned. I mean, no, it was my short answer. Saturday morning we'll certainly be feeling the occasion, but I won't be daunted by it at all. From a sort of team perspective, we focus a lot on our preparation, and we've prepared very well. We've had 3 good training sessions now this week, so that's where we take our confidence, going into this match. And Kieran's a big believer in, you prepare well for a match, and then what will happen on a weekend will be sort of a result of how you prepare. And I think that's a philosophy that the team has sort of adopted very well. So we're going to be a product of our preparation. So the guys prepare well, and we expect a good performance at the weekend. And I think that's the best way you can approach World Cup matches, to be honest with you. You can't be looking 1, 2, 3 weeks ahead, or different points or whatever. You just got to go week by week, prepare as well as you can. However, with that said, there's definitely excitement about getting on the field. We're all ready to go now, ready to really kick off this World Cup. You've been presented your cap, you've been given your participation medal. Sorry, you're ready to go. You just want to go boots on now, get that first game done, and then get stuck into the tournament.
And obviously, you've had the training this week. And what does the downtime look like tomorrow, particularly? Are you going to be able to sort of watch the game as well on Friday night? Is there a sense of trying to switch off just a little bit between now and Saturday?
Yeah, I think everyone's going to try and find their own balance. I mean, absolutely, we'll be watching some of the rugby, but at the same time, you can't be getting bogged down in the sense of sort of looking at all these teams in detail. We've got our own matches to think about, so we'll be enjoying the tournament. Yes, we'll be watching the rugby. Yes, but for those guys that need to switch off, they're absolutely free to go. Go and wander around the centre. If your families are close by, spend some time with your family or whatever. It's when you're on at 100%. But then when you're off, you need to make sure that you're refreshing yourself, you're recharged mentally. You're not sort of feeling any sort of burdens or anything like that. It's very important that when we arrive, that Friday team run, then that Saturday match, you're there to express yourself at the end of the day. And if the preparation's done, there shouldn't be too much that you should be really worrying about. So that downtime that you've got is really precious, and that's what you need to use to really like freshen up the mind, basically, to get ready for a big weekend and hopefully a big battle and a good performance.
Talking about big battle, I think it's fair to bring up the old fantasy league right now. And I said, right, to Ottavio, I only have one goal in this, and that's to beat the stat man, and that's Ottavio. But this was before I got a sort of, quite a random message out the blue, and we have Mr. Dave Sisi in the league. So now my goal is to beat Ottavio, and then at least to try and beat you. So that's the level now where I'm at. If that means we come bottom and I come third from the bottom, I'll be happy with that, to be honest.
Mike, I'm gonna pay you next time.
To be honest, I'm actually really excited. The best part about fantasy, I used to do fantasy Premier League back in the day, but I've lost my connection with that. So now there's a new fantasy game. I was just so keen. So I was messaging anyone that was doing a league. I was like, I'm in. So I'm actually always excited after the first round to go through, because then you can finally see everyone's teams and see who everyone's crazy picks are. Now, Ottavio,
I have one. I have a crazy one.
Scare me. So he's going to be going numbers, percentages, all the rest of it.
Man, I'm going with.
I go a bit more head and heart, So I think for me, I'm going to join you with that goal of coming after Ottavio. I like the idea that heart can beat the head, The old stats man over there. But I think it'll be a difficult task. I'm not going to lie.
The Hangover. Where he's like seeing all the stuff when he's counting cards. That's how I imagine Ottavio was picking the fantasy league, just seeing all these numbers falling from the sky. I
was picturing. I had the Rain Man GIF, of all this, and then there's just me looking like, oh yeah, he's my mate. I'll put him in. You know what I mean? So, I have to say, I'll put it. The Italian players, they have undervalued the Italian players. I'm sorry.
So much.
I wish we had 5 Italian players. We are.
Come out with change there.
Man, we can pick more than 3 after when we're gonna.
Dave, did you pick yourself?
He picked himself. Who knows?
Did you pick yourself, Dave?
I missed the question. What was the question?
Did you pick yourself in the fantasy league?
No. Probably. You're gonna have to wait till round 1, mate. You have to wait till round 1, and then you can see.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the sneak that we know.
To be fair, it'd probably be insider knowledge. So I probably actually can't. I probably literally cannot tell you what my fantasy league team is.
Don't want to give Ottavio any.
Man, I have some ideas there, but
don't
I have two crazy fly half.
We got to beat you, man.
I have 2 crazy fly half. First can be the craziest ever. It's our 3rd fly half, but for me, my team is gonna be with the Chilean number 10 against Japan. Crazy game. He's gonna do everything for Chile that game. So I'm going there. That's my sneak peek for fantasy.
He's throwing us off.
Ottavio, that's the tackers, mate. That's the tackers.
Yeah.
That's best in everything.
Yeah.
But fantasy guys, subscribe to our free open league. Don't forget. So we're gonna send all the information in the info of the pod, on Twitter, Instagram. So just join us.
Join with some funny names,
Yeah, there are some funny names.
Good point.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, guys.
I have a little secret account that you guys.
Yeah,
Dave, keep it stum. But there's a secret. I made 2 accounts basically, and then depending on which one's doing better in round 1, that's the one I'm going to commit to. No, joking aside, I am playing seriously, very seriously.
Yeah, fair.
It's a serious game, the fantasy.
Yeah, I'm buzzing. See, it's actually. It's one of those where you can start looking at the team selections now. Do you know what I mean? And then you're going to have those weeks where the guy forgets to change his team and all the rest of it, and you're going to have all the excuses. So I'm looking forward. I think it'll be a bit of banter. We've got a squad one going as well. I think we've got about 10 or 12 guys doing it. So
who's the benchmark?
There's a little bit of money in the hat as well. So that'll be. I think we'll have a good bit of banter.
So who's the Ottavio for you?
Who's the crazy one? The statman.
That's actually a good question. Actually, I'm trying to think who's sort of the biggest. We haven't got an Ottavio. We haven't got someone who's counting numbers as such. Squad wise, I mean, some of the tens. Yeah, some of the tens. Just because they have to watch they have to watch
just
rugby,
because they are
So
10s.
maybe like
Just
Tommy Allen or
because.
someone like
Uh,
that. Yeah,
I
just because they
respect
think of the game a little bit different. They're supposed to be the smart ones, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and usually they are the last in
Uh,
the season because maybe some prop is
uh,
gonna throw some names there, and they're gonna be all the right names for the right round. So that's usually happen. Some good prop is gonna take over.
yeah. To be fair, my front row was the hardest one to pick. To be honest with you, it took me ages to get my
Agreed.
front row right, but we
That's
got there in the
crazy.
end, lads. I reckon.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident.
We bet on crazy names, Mike, with the Fratelli di Rugby one. We went with the Australia one, Fama Osili from the bench, and Gigashvili for Georgia. So
Yeah,
we went crazy.
yeah,
First game.
I think we went rogue, to be honest. We went so rogue on our picks.
Bit like our predictions, really.
Yeah, I mean, oh, Dave,
We put Theo
wait until you see
McFarland.
our
He's not
prediction
gonna
later.
play.
Wait until you see our predictions. So we went rogue on those as well. But yeah,
Counting
Outstanding.
the credits for the fullbacks.
Creating clickbait, lads. Just creating
That's it.
clickbait.
That's it. That's
Throw
what
out-
you got to do. That's what you got to do.
throw
You
out
got to
enough
make
shit, some will stick.
controversy.
No,
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
yeah. Hey,
We've
listen,
done that. We've done
Japan are
that.
going to win.
Yeah,
Yeah. England are going to win.
Wait
That's the
till round one,
surprise.
baby.
England will win the whole thing.
there might be some surprise selections in there for you boys. I think.
Yeah.
man, we have to put this podcast earlier than possible. Like tonight at midnight, we're gonna put it out. Look how he's teasing us. There's gonna be some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Man, let's see. But anyway, okay, fantasy rugby. We said something about fantasy rugby. Tell me a little bit how was between the Rome day and the France day. Like, who was the guy who was always looking for his like the tie to be perfect, everything perfect, the day of the caps? Who was the most like flash in that moment? Because I saw picture of other teams like Rob Valentini with the cap on top of his hair, like a crazy hair. I don't. They look for that picture of Rob Valentini from Australia. It's gonna be funny to see. And you looks all great, of course, because Italy, all the style, of course. But who was the most il fashionista?
It's probably
Or
going
the
to be the fashionista. Nostra fashionista. It's probably Monty. It's probably Mont. Mont's always likes to look sharp. He puts a little bit of an edge on it, Maybe
He did
tie
look-
half down
he
to a
looked
thing.
sharp.
He always likes to look good.
No
Problem
Paolo
with
with
Mont
the
is that he
Crocs.
tells you that he looks good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he won't even mind me saying that. So and there, like Ange always looks pretty good with the old slick back hair. He brings the old tub of gel out.
Yeah, from
Reminiscent
the
of the
30s.
90s, the amount of product that goes in that hair.
90s still.
But we got a few.
That's it. That's Italian, though, isn't it? It's been classy and stylish. We do it very well.
Yeah, no. I mean, to be fair, I saw that's why I love Twitter, just because of the mad subjects that just randomly get thrown at you. I followed some of the suit stuff. I mean, the English looked horrendous. Like they looked like rogue estate agent vibes. Like, and for the amount of money those guys are getting for a World Cup, you think they'd go into the mailers. But I'm glad we were. I'm glad we managed to fly the flag in that case.
Probably they sent some tailor overnight to arrange something different for the second day when they arrived, because they were ugly. Mamma mia.
Yes. Well, I think that would be a good place to finish. Look, Dave, we know you've really appreciate you giving us your time, and it's been great to just sort of have a little bit of a catch up and dig back into the Italian camp. It looks like it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully it continues, and hopefully you're staying in camp for a long, long time. That's the dream. That's the hope. But thank you very much for joining us, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely, lads. Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Great to catch up, and I hope the Wi-Fi wasn't too bad. I feel like I went robotic a couple of times.
No, don't worry. Good luck, and Forza Azzurri, Forza Italia, Forza Dave.
Forza Italia.
Come on, let's go.
Forza Italia,
Guys.
Peppi, in bocca al lupo. Allora. See, yeah.
Ale,
That's it.
let's throw everything there. In culo alla balena, everything. That is the other way, guys. Va bene. Ciao, ci vediamo
Ciao,
al
ragazzi,
prossimo
ciao.
podcast.
Ciao ragazzi.